Said bowl season couldn't be fun, right? Thursday after Christmas, you got a bowl game between two opponents that probably you and I don't give two Rudy Poos about. And yet Toledo and Pitt go into 6 overtimes. And finally, we have a winner. Who said bowl season couldn't be fun? But nevertheless, it is. We are in the heart of bowl season. LSU has a game not too long from now. 5 days from now, you will see your Tigers take on the Baylor Bears, and we'll give you our 5 keys to victory here tonight. Good to be with you, by the way. Didn't know that we were going to be able to go today, but nevertheless, we are here. We are live. It's going to be fun. We'll go through our keys to victory. I know that you have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions, so we'll try to talk about them and answer them together, you and I here tonight. We'll talk and chat about the transfer portal. What is LSU going to continue to do here? We will do that. They get a center out of the portal. Are they going after a right guard and Josh Thompson? We'll touch on that. Probably the biggest question mark that I got all day yesterday during Christmas, while some of you degenerates were, I guess, not celebrating Christmas. Maybe some of you had to work, but love every one of you for asking the questions. Blake, what is going to happen with Harold Perkins? Every single day, it's an onslaught of DMs on Twitter about what Harold Perkins is going to do. I guess we got to mention that because you can't continue to run away from it. What do I think it means? What questions do I have around Perkins? Does he come back? Does he not? I have no earthly idea, but we'll see. We'll talk about some other positions LSU continues to monitor. Are they staying put at running back? And at tight end is going to be a big question mark too. Oh, and by the way, yes, yet again, we got to talk about tampering. I guess because you thought it was Christmas, and we're going to ask you how your Christmas went. You know good and damn well we're going to ask you how your Christmas went. But yet every day there's somebody new that's not even in the portal, and our media thinks it's okay to run out there and say that we're going after them. Do you understand how dangerous and stupid that is? How absolutely chaotic and stupid that is? Just for clarification to everybody, it is very stupid. It is openly stupid. So we'll talk about that out of the break here. But we got to start off. What did all you have? How were your days yesterday during Christmas? Fantastic. Tuesday and Wednesday for the Ruffino household. Santa gifted us a lot of toys around here for the kiddos. So it's really fun. My wife is an outright rock star. That's number 2. And hopefully a week during the 2025 year, you will not be seeing me because we're going on a little bit of a trip. So good and all in all, great Christmas. You boys were trying to look dapper on Thursday, but I don't know if we pulled that off or not. But how was your Christmas? I know that there were some interesting conversations around our dinner table when it came to college football. I posted about it last night. Did Mensa get that amount of money to go to Duke? A lot of smart people and connected people appear to think and say that he did. New market for when it comes to quarterbacks. LSU's running game. We talked about Caleb Jackson a lot. More specifically on Tuesday than Thursday, or Wednesday, whatever. My days are running together here. But Caleb Jackson was a big piece. And then obviously Brian Kelly dominating the portal was the biggest piece. So we'll get into all that too. But it was a great day, a great Christmas. I hope all of you and yours had a great time. Had an absolutely fantastic time. So, yeah. All right, we got a super chat already flying off in here from Alex. He says Hilton booed up. Booted up, maybe? Not going anywhere? Or booed up because of, okay, I see what he's trying to say here. It's like, no, he ain't booted up, but he is booed up with Flauche. My man. Gotta love it. Lance, yes, we are bringing the show back to Twitter or X, whatever y'all want to call it. We are bringing the show back. I've lost the battle. Lost the battle about this stuff on X. So we're going to bring it back even though it hurts us, but who gives a Rudy poo? Jason says, Merry Christmas from the 337. And Steven says, watching from the 601, Picayune, Mississippi. Well, Merry Christmas to Jason, and good to have Steven in here with us from the 601, not too far from the 601 myself. About an hour from the 601. Good to have you in here. He says, let's go. Already hit the like and share. Yes, has everybody hit the like and share? I think is the number one question that I have going into tonight's show. Matthew Conkle says, the 409 in this thing. Merry Christmas, Blake. Merry Christmas to you as well, Matthew. And I think Matthew said he loved the thumbnail as well. Lester Abear says, Merry Christmas, Blake. Merry Christmas to you as well, good sir. Hope you had a good one. Hope you all had a good one. It was fun around here, I'll tell you that. Cleo Spearman the fourth says the 719 is checking in. Good to have the 719 in the house. And the 504 says Anthony B. Saints, let's F word go. Gotta love it. You absolutely have to love it. Tony, our good man, Midland, Texas. And I don't know if he's watching Perman versus Midland here, but Merry Christmas from the 432, Midland, Texas in the house. Good to have our good buddy in here with us as well. Henry Edwards says, it was awesome. Happy holidays to you and the whole LSU family. Go Tigers. It was awesome, man. It was good to have a couple of days. It was good to have a couple of days with the family. Got to see a couple cousins I hadn't seen in quite some time. So good to see them as well. It's been a really good really good holiday season. Very good holiday season. A very good Christmas season. That is for sure. All right, let's get rolling here. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all those groups. If you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages, you're on Twitter, hit that retweet button. I know that you can do that for me. Just do a favor. Hit the retweet. We greatly appreciate y'all doing that. If you're watching us, listening to us on YouTube, it's funny what Facebook Memories tells you every now and then. 7 years ago, the YouTube channel that you are watching us on right now was formed. How about that, man? How about that? So before you know it, we'll be doing this for over a decade. So I very much appreciate all of you being here. Appreciate all of you on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, notification bell. Coming up on 10K, man. Long time coming. Yeah, Rufino and Joe Show just absolutely blasted that out of the water. So when you talk national, I guess it helps. But like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We greatly appreciate y'all doing that. Let's do this. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we'll break down a lot of things. Got to go on a little rant. But we'll talk about Perkins. We'll talk about Thompson. We'll talk about the portal in general on this fine Thursday. Is it Thursday? See, my days are continuously running together here. So we'll get to a quick break. When we'll come back, we'll break all that down. We'll talk about it, you and I, on this great Thursday edition. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
All right. You know, somebody made fun of me. They said when I come out of the break, I kind of pick up on my chair a little bit. Yeah, I do that. I just noticed that. Alex with a $2 super chat says Xavier Thomas needs to be moved to running back. I thought, for what it's worth, man, I don't know, what they're going to do with him ultimately going into next season. You bring in Nick Anderson, Barian Brown, you have Aaron Anderson, and then you have Chris Hilton. So I don't know what they're going to do with Xavier, but Xavier Thomas has got to have a big game in the bowl game because he's going to play. By necessity, he's going to play. So he's going to have to, for what it's worth, have a good game and continue to work hard during this offseason to get playing time. Now, if you remember against, what was it, the Ole Miss game, I thought that he got open. I thought that he ran some clean routes. I thought that Nuss missing him a couple of times. I mean, he's laying out diving for a football, and Xavier Thomas got the blame on that one from most. But I do think that Xavier Thomas had some really good, effective runs. It will be interesting to see what they do there. We're going to talk about running back tonight because we're going to talk about running back in the portal and what I'm kind of hearing about the Caleb Jackson stuff and stuff like that. But I do agree. He did have some explosive runs in the run game. He did have some explosive just plays all around. It's going to be interesting to see how or if they do use him. That is for sure. Tony says, salute to me for being one of the first subscribers. You were. Tony was one of the first subscribers to AYS 7 years ago, sitting in front of a white wall with a fake microphone or a real microphone that wasn't plugged in because we didn't know any better. Crazy what 7 years can do. That is for damn sure. Let me talk about this. Sorry, I'm been a little congested today, so I deeply apologize for that. But let's get to it. I got to start off with this. We talked about this at the end of the show on Thursday, and I need to bring it back up because it's continuously becoming a problem. Not necessarily for me. Answering questions is answering questions, or being tagged and stuff is being tagged and stuff. But I'm going to continue to say this until it stops because it's dangerous and it's stupid. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know necessarily why it's starting the way it's starting. But we as a fan base, we as a media corps have got to not be careful. We got to flat out stop talking about LSU targeting other people on teams with players that are not in the portal. Right? Like I see the Peter Woods thing, and then LSU fans are like, yeah, we're going after him. I heard it on so-and-so, or heard it here, heard it there, heard it everywhere. The DT from Clemson. Or regardless of the player, man, you got to stop. Like, we can have differences of opinion, right? Like, there could be differences of opinion on LSU run game, how you think offense looks, defense looks, special teams, Brian Kelly. We can have differences of opinion in so many different areas. And I know the biggest argument that you're going to give me is, well, Blake, everybody's tampering. It doesn't mean that you get the ability, or you should have the ability to run out there and run your mouth about cheating openly, because tampering is still against the rules. Now, I am not saying that like it affects me or it affects you or affects anything, because you want to know potentially where LSU is going, and I get that. It is dangerous because there's going to be a point in time, an instance, and situation, someone's going to go after tampering. Now, the NCAA, just so you remember, gave Will Wade a show cause when NIL was legal about paying players. Now, the way that he did it was from his own bank account, and they hit Jeremy Pruitt for pretty much the same thing, if you want to call it all told. One just happened to be in a bank account. The other happened to be in a McDonald's bag when we're talking about cash. I don't think it's appropriate, nor do I think it's, quite honestly, nor do I think it's the right thing for us as a fan base to do. Now, you can disagree. You can continue to run out there and talk about it. But I do believe that there's one thing to say, like, hey, there's rumors of a guy like Peter Woods going into the portal. Would LSU be interested? Versus LSU's actively going after him. Because I see you in the comments. I see you. I get the questions. I see you on the Facebook comments. Like, what are we doing? Now, I know some of you are going to be turned off, pause, but I know some of you are going to be turned off by me saying that. Why would we do that? It's quite frankly, I don't know why we're doing it. I don't know why we're doing it. So all these questions that other people in the media that I know for a fact are getting asked the questions about, not just myself, but the God's honest truth is, why is this a thing? We do it to ourselves. As the old Italian mafia would say, you don't talk. You never confirm or deny doing something illegal or wrong. But even during the Christmas break, it doesn't change. I will remind you, a year ago today, you and I had a conversation. It's very interesting. There was a rumor that circulated about Brian Kelly going to Michigan. Now, I would assume that most teams and most player personnel people get their hands in the weeds. But there also comes a time where we got to start being a little bit more careful on talking about tampering. Because if multiple people are reporting you, or the league office has enough, or the NCAA finally makes a stand, sure, they can go after Ole Miss. Sure, they can go after you. Why are we going to project ourselves in that? Now, I'll tell you this too. It's not like they could do anything federally, but I will remind you, do you remember the Will Wade investigation? Because I do. And in that investigation, media members were brought to a stand to testify in reference to things that sources had told them. All of that's hearsay, but they still did it. This isn't a court of law. And a key cog in Will being popped was reports that came up about him. He can say whatever he wants. He can get cronies to come out here and say whatever he wants. But the facts are the facts, and that's why he got popped. Let's not act like he was innocent either. So I think that we are, for what it's worth, playing a very, very dangerous game. A very, very dangerous game in reference to going out there and admitting tampering. I have not heard from anybody saying that they're tampering personally. Hopefully, it is just hearsay and we can redact this. So, the questions, the things that you send us, or if you have no idea what in the good hell I'm talking about, most of you know what I'm talking about. From fans, media alike, we got to stop going out there and talking about us tampering with players. I heard we're talking to this safety. That safety's not in the portal. Do you understand how dangerous and dumb that is? They're not going to do anything to you. Okay. Or you can shut up, and when the player goes in the portal, then hammer it home. Because if you noticed, as an example, when Patrick Payton went into the portal, It's exactly what we did. Come on, man. Come on. Christian Burris with a $5 super chat says, I saw the video you're talking about. He flat out said LSU is tampering and tried to butter it up with agents. He's the enemy, I'm convinced now. Look, it is still illegal to use a third party to do your bidding. Do you think, and I'm just hypothetically throwing this out there, do you think that third parties, that it matters? It doesn't matter. It's not going to matter. I'm not telling any team or any coach or anybody not to do what they feel like that they need to do. Okay? But there comes a part in time where we got to go full Godfather. We got to go full Michael Corleone and shut up. Goodness gracious. It is absolutely purely insane. So, last time I'm talking about it, but I will promise you this. If LSU does get hit with anything or something happens, why? I'd love to I'd have the debate with anybody. Why? All right. Let's get to it here. Got lots and lots we need to get to. Speaking about the transfer portal, so there is somebody that we did talk about, I say last Thursday, like this is a Monday show. I said that earlier in the show. There is somebody that you and I did talk about Monday, that being right guard for Northwestern, Josh Thompson, who is in the portal, who has played in 30 games and 21 starts. So we talked about him on Monday, and I brought up the scenario where if LSU is targeting somebody along their offensive line, one of two reasons is why they're doing it. Either number one, they don't feel like they have a quality backup like anybody does in the portal, or that they did think that they had one and they didn't develop him in time, or the player didn't develop in time, so you need to go get a guard. Or at worst, you think this kid could be a depth piece. I don't think Josh Thompson is necessarily a depth piece. 30 games, 21 starts, the amount of experience that he has against really good defenses and really good teams, against teams like Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, whoever. I don't know if they played Oregon this year, but Michigan, I know that they played Michigan. I think that's what you're trying to bring him in for. Now, you already have Braylon Moore that has entered the fold for LSU and will more than likely day one be your starting center. I'm sure all of us know and trust that he will. But it would appear that, and let's see if LSU lands here, that over the last couple of days, there's been some seesawing when it comes to Josh Thompson and where he may go. Tennessee had been very much in the fold there, while LSU had also been in there. Now it seems like LSU, Tennessee, and Auburn are getting into that mix. I do think it's interesting that Auburn did just have a grad transfer hit the portal at right guard just a moment ago. So we'll monitor that. I do not know what is going at the current moment, if he is going to come here or not. But it would seem as if that LSU is not out of this fight yet, as things trended on Monday that they likely may have been out. So it's going to be interesting. Let's talk about this along the offensive line. Guys, I have a feeling all offseason that you and I are going to be talking about a lot the O-line and then going into that Clemson game on the road. And I do think it's a massive deal. Going after Braylon Moore was kind of a non-starter and a non-head scratcher when it came to knowing what you wanted and needed to do to be better along your offensive line. Going after a guard with that many games and that many starts is very much interesting to me. The reason it's interesting to me is because you do have two young, talented guards that are coming into the fold from the freshman class. But hypothetically, bringing in more made me believe, before the Josh Thompson news started getting prevalent, that you potentially would move DJ Chester to guard. Well, if you do get Thompson, that changes some things. And if you don't, well, then you have a pretty good idea of what you may do there. It's going to be interesting in this bowl game in 5 days to see how LSU tries to play this out. Now, Bo Bordelon had been at right guard and Miles Frazier had been at right tackle. Weston Davis, from some people I had spoken to and some sourcing, they think he's going to play. I hope he does play. It's going to be a very interesting situation to see what you have as a baseline. How does Tyree Adams look at left tackle? Can Paul Mabinga continue to take that next step at left guard? And then you have a center and potentially right guard with that many games of experience while you continue to get guys developed that you've brought in. What's interesting here, too, is that there's one position group that you have recruited at a very high level. And what will be the 4 years under Brian Kelly. What you have recruited very well from a blue chip ratio standpoint has been the offensive line. The thing that's been interesting is that over the last 3 years, you did have some changes here and there at center. Outside of that, everything else has pretty much stayed the same the last 2 seasons. Will Campbell left tackle, Garrett Dellinger at left guard, center coming in and out, Charles Turner, DJ Chester. So you have 24 games. That pretty much sums up where you've been on the 2 guys. Right guard, Miles Frazier, right tackle, Emory Jones. You don't know anything else or anything different when it comes to Brian Kelly and what he wants to and will accomplish. Now you go out and get a center, a true center, that can eliminate some of these things for you. But I do think it's interesting because we knew that center was an issue. Do you feel as if that guys aren't developing up to the level or have the talent level that you thought that they had coming out of high school? Because you have recruited a plentiful along the offensive line. So you getting back in the fold with Josh Thompson when it looked like on Monday that Tennessee may run away with this thing is very interesting. And then what do you do at right tackle? We talked about on Monday, and it wasn't on accident. It was on purpose. We talked about on Monday, does DJ Chester get a look at right tackle? Guys, he's 6'6", 310, 315. That is the body type of a of a right tackle. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he is better free range and on an edge. I don't know. We have a long time to figure that out. But you certainly, even if Josh Thompson does not come here, you 1,000% got yourself back into a fold here. It's interesting to see what you're going to do there. I have a very good feeling that come spring football, the number one thing that you and I will be discussing is going to be O-line play. Your quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, year 2 starter, has come back. You go and pay Nick Anderson. You go and pay Barry and Brown. Let's call it what it is. You hit on 2 high-profile individuals at receiver. You go out and the first portal move in addition that you make is getting a tight end and replace Mason Taylor and Bauer Sharp. But if you can't protect Garrett and if you cannot protect a guy that does not want to run, things can be very interesting. How do you run the football? It's something that we're going to talk about in literally about 5 to 10 minutes to relieve the stress that Garrett will be under. So you have the weapons, you have the receivers. Now it becomes a question, how does this O-line look with damn near a brand new O-line? Guys, 4 new starters are good, but let's call it what it is. God forbid DJ Chester does not, crack the starting lineup. There's a very solid chance that you are replacing your entire offensive line. Everything is brand new. You know that you're doing it at center. You know you're doing it at left tackle. You know you're doing it at left guard, and right tackle. The only question is does DJ Chester take one of those spots? You and I probably feel as if that left guard is being locked down by Paul Mabinga, as if that they did not pull him when things got bad and he continued to get better. You're going after a guard. I don't hate it. The reason I don't hate it is because you know that you need to get better in the interior of your run game and start some people up. That's what you and I both know. So we'll see what Josh Thompson does. We'll see what happens. I don't know. But I do think it's highly interesting. Very highly interesting. Safety. I'm staying away from that one on purpose. Because I already basically was talking about my entire rant about safety. What I would say about safety, it's interesting. The star position we're going to talk about in just a moment. The other positions at the current moment are also very interesting to me. Now, DJ Pickett, here's some news for you. DJ Pickett, the talented 5-star freshman, is on LSU campus and he's practicing during bowl prep. No, to everybody that asked the question, will he play in the game? No, he can't. And neither do you want him to play in a meaningless bowl game. But DJ Pickett is on the field right now practicing at the far right boundary corner. So you bring in Mansour Delane. You have potentially Javian Toviano, who Brian Kelly said that we're moving back from star into a true safety role that they like a lot. So let's see. And it would appear that you're going after another safety, maybe two, if we're somewhat lucky. But now you have options at DB, and safety is the biggest issue that you have, in my humble opinion, right now on your entire team. Unless that fortune starts changing. And that fortune that would change, hypothetically, would be, what do you do at star? We talked about it on Monday because we basically didn't have a chance. I tried to stay away from it. You called me out on it. It is what it is. We got to talk about it more now. Harold Perkins, in his 3 years at LSU, has had 164 tackles, 28 tackles for loss, 13 sacks, 7 PBUs, and a pick. Or 2 picks. And it was of my humble opinion that if the interior of the O-line or interior middle linebacker was not going to work well for Perkins because he's getting swallowed up by interior offensive linemen, put him at edge. Maybe move him to star. And it's going to be interesting to see what Harold does here. I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see what he does. He's not good enough to play edge, and we talked about this in the run game. He's just not. It's not where he is, not the body type, body style, or caliber of athlete right now. But it's interesting to me that LSU has not picked up on and gone after more safeties that are already in the portal. Now, you missed out on one. One went to Miami, and it is what it is. But if Harold does come back, because I don't know, if he does come back, then does he go back out to that star role? Here's why I think that you could be qualitatively dangerous with him there. Blake Baker sends the star nickel, if you will, a bunch in pass pro situations or passing down situations. I think about the Ole Miss game a lot. And I think about the Ole Miss game a lot that, ironically enough, schematically, defensively, Blake won you a lot of situations because he kept sending Major Burns after the quarterback. The best thing that Harold Perkins does is get after the quarterback from a free range. Why I do think that it helps a guy like Harold to not completely be on the edge, but be on a perimeter is very simple. Because Major Burns rarely went against tackles, guards, or centers in any blitzes that Baker sent from him. Most of it came from tight ends and running backs. Harold is going to win that fight. He's going to win that battle majority of the time. Where he hadn't been winning, if he can beat tackles and he can beat premier tackles in the SEC, he can beat a running back in pass pro just as good, probably even immensely better. I think it would be the best role for him, but more importantly, and ironically, it may be the best position for you. Because I think Blake, he comes out there and he says stuff like, we don't want poodles. We don't want poodles. Okay, well, that means that your play calling style is you wanting to be aggressive. Sounds good. Well, I have somebody that if you're not going to put him in the interior, put him at star and see what happens. There are questions that I have about Harold Perkins since the chatter has been out there about him that I don't want to say concerns, but just God honest questions. How is his rehab going? Because we forget that he tore his ACL. How intense did he take that workout? How focused was he about that workout? Because regardless of what you believe, ask anybody that's been to rehab. No, not the drug rehab. But rehab on knee replacements or ACL surgeries, guys, it is a full-blown workout. If you get right, it is a full-blown workout. You're in there sweating your ass off. So I do think that Perkins, it will be interesting to see how his recovery has gone. Perkins gives you a very interesting dynamic because in big personnel situations, so when teams go 12 personnel, so 2 tight ends, 1 running back, Harold gives you the opportunity that if you don't have the ability to sub in and sub out, that he can play that weak side backer role. And quite frankly, it's probably the best for him. Because he can run around and play around. I say play around. He can run around and be an athlete. Being a strong side or Mike linebacker is not the best suited for him at this point in his career. So I think that if he does come back, that's probably based off of what we've seen where I think he would be. Here's the big reason. You didn't go and get a linebacker out of the portal. Not yet anyway. Which leads me to believe you're going to run it back with the Weeks brothers, and you're going to run it back with either Keys or whoever you believe can hold that position down. Harold's not moving to edge. Regardless of what you think or I think or opinion, he's not moving there. You went out and got 3 edge rushers or guys that can rush from the edge. You went and got Pyburn, Butler, and you went and got Patrick Payton. Other than special packages, I don't see Perk even remotely being around something like that. I don't. It only leaves one real position for him. That would be star. Perk has got to have a big year. Now, I know the injury is very unfortunate, but Perk has to have a massive year. Freshman year to sophomore year, Perkins' statistics didn't really change. He still had 7.5 sacks apiece. Last year, he didn't have any. I think it's on Blake Baker, and he did get hurt early. It is on Blake Baker to utilize him correctly. It's also on Harold Perkins to put his head down, get to work, learn, and be ready. That's also a God's honest truth. Because I don't know, quite frankly, if I've seen a massive amount of development other than Perk putting on size and being the same kind of guy that he's been through 3 years. The talent is there. The quality is there. The outright determination has got to be there. Because now if he does move to star, he's going to have 4 different position coaches in his career at LSU. He's going to have 3 different positions at LSU. And the production can be there for you. It just depends on what you want him to do. The last thing that I would say for this is that the issues that it does bring up for Perk is that pretty much everybody would know that you would be in some form of zone coverage. And you like to play man a lot. If Perk gets put in a man-on-man situation with a wide receiver, he's in trouble. He's in trouble. He's good enough of an athlete to not make things bad, but he's in trouble. He's a linebacker essentially trying to cover a slot wide receiver. Those things are not mutually exclusive when it comes to fairness. So it's going to be interesting, and he's got to put in the work. It's time. He's a hell of an athlete. He's a hell of a player. But I feel like all I'm seeing is athlete, and I'm not seeing the development on, hey, they ran counter. I knew they'd run it. I saw it on film based off of they do this, this, and this. You haven't seen that yet. You've seen pure freak athlete. Can he put it all together? That will be interesting. So I do still think that you go after safety, but it's interesting when Brian Kelly stated that you're moving Toviano back. Can Javian Toviano have a good year? Can he have a good bowl game? Which we're going to talk about in just a moment. But context clues are key here. Actions will always speak louder than words. Last thing about the portal before we get to a break. Running back. I'm giving Caleb Jackson 15 carries. And I'm splitting him with Josh Williams. And I'm telling Kane Durham, take some rest. We don't need you here. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. I'm sure Kane Durham's going to play, and he wants to play. I get all that. I'm not putting Kane Durham in harm's way. I'm just not. The reason I'm not is because he's too valuable. Running backs take too many hits and take too much of a beating at that position. You don't need him here. I'm finding out what I got in Caleb Jackson. Josh Williams may be his last football game ever in a situation like this. For sure is the last game that he'll play in college. Give him his touches, but I'm also getting Caleb Jackson in there, and I'm trying to establish a running game. I think they're going to try to see what they have in Caleb Jackson. Vision has got to get better. I don't think that determination and effort is lacking with Caleb Jackson. When Caleb hits the hole, he is as dangerous and as athletic as any running back in the country. I fully believe that. Does he need to trim down some? I do think he does. I'd get him at 220 and sit him there. I'd sit him there. And then I'd line up and start running the football because you're going to need it. And in this bowl game, quite frankly, if you can't run the ball on Baylor, even with the new O-line that you got, it's going to be a very big litmus test on where you are. Well, Blake, these guys are backups. It's their first start. Okay. All right. Well, that's your new O-line. Last but not least, tight end. No clue. No clue. No clue at all. Jason Guidry says Blake kind of sounded like Perk ain't coming back. Are you saying that I sound like that, or that you're saying it kind of sounds like out there on the people's streets? If I'm not saying that, we just talked about it, what it would be like in life would be like if he played star. I never gave you a hint whatsoever. There are big things that you can do, especially if you're sending him after the quarterback. There's bad situations where you get in a situation where a team doesn't adjust, or you don't adjust against a team, and he's got to cover, and you go man-to-man coverage for whatever reason, and he's got to guard a slot wide receiver. Because Major Burns had to do it. And Major's not a good athlete compared to Perk. It's a completely different scenario. So we'll see. Matthew Conkle says, Blake, what you say Perk's best game was South Carolina. 1,000% it was his best game. 1,000% it was his best game. And you know where that came from? I wish I had a still shot photo. This is what I want y'all to do, because I know that most of you remember this. Go back and look at the interception thrown by Lenore Sellers early, and then go back and look at when he fumbled the football. Perk did not get any statistical value from the chaos he created in the passing game versus South Carolina. But both of your turnovers are constructs of how fearful teams get when he's going after the quarterback. Why? Well, on one of the fumbles, Perk backed out. He showed blitz. He backed out. O-line completely freaked out that they thought he was coming because he runs to the line, then he backs out. So then Braden Swinson gets a sack and a fumble, a strip sack. And then the beginning fumble with Lenore Sellers. Perk is a menace getting after a quarterback. Putting him at star, normally, if you put him in right situations, puts him in good situations, in reference to that, it's not going to be if you do it correctly, there's not going to be many times that he's having to go up and gets a tackle. And if he is, he can win that battle more than Major Burns could. There's not a safety in the portal that's taken on defensive tackles more at safety than Harold Perkins. Nobody. There's nobody in the SEC that has, just out of necessity and reps. So even when that situation comes, so yeah, I'm not trying to sound like that. I just brought up a scenario if he did. Darren says, you are a blowhard, Blake. And Darren, what I would tell you here is, thank you for coming into the show and commenting that. Because number one, you just gave me a view which ultimately gives me paid. So then technically you're the reason why I'm paid to do this, because you listen. So ultimately you're the dummy. It seems like you wearing a turtleneck, and that's the whitest shit that I've ever seen. And first off, why you got to wear a turtleneck? Ain't nobody going to come in here and talk shit to me with wearing a turtleneck. You might have some sugar in your tank if you're wearing a turtleneck. I'm just going to be a little honest with you. A turtleneck. This man in here wearing a turtleneck. And you know he's old as shit and probably hasn't had a good day with women in quite a while when he calls somebody a blowhard. You know, I could have just said that's what you're... I'm not going to say it. Let me get to a quick break. We'll go keys to victory next before we get out of here. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Foss and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Foss has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. All right. H-Town Creole says, Blake, what's wrong with turtle emoji necks? Well, first off, massive pause. But he's wearing two turtlenecks in that. Never mind. Pause. That's what his wife says. Anyway, ain't nothing really wrong with turtlenecks, I guess. But you ain't gonna catch your boy out there in no turtleneck. The conversation you and I just had sounds like someone that would be in a I just feel like you got some sugar in your tank, man. That's all. Jason Gidry says downvote LMAO at the earlier X post. Yes, somebody said that they saw me on somebody else's show and they purposely disliked the video. Y'all do know, you do know if videos get enough down likes or enough interactions that it boosts the algorithm for you to see it more. Y'all know that, right? So every time you come in here and leave a comment or you like it or you subscribe, or it gets us more notoriety. So the best thing that these trolls could do is not come in here because it continues to get us success. That's all. Rob says turtlenecks suck. Matthew Conkle says best check your fit before you talk shit. Absolutely, Matthew. Matthew's got it under pat right now. He's right. If the glove don't fit, you must have quit. If you ain't out here in these people's streets, or you out here in these people's streets, and you dress like that, you ain't looking good. You ain't feeling good. See, you know that dudes might be, bunch of crazy things might be happening. But if they have that confidence, they looking good, they feeling good, ain't no man walking out his house confident with a turtleneck on. Mm-mm. There's only two reasons to wear a turtleneck. Number one, it's really comfortable and it's really cold outside. If a man's wearing a turtleneck and it's like 12 degrees, all right, it is what it is. But warmth is better than fashion at that point. I'm with you. But number two, the only other way that you can wear a turtleneck and it being permissible is when, you got something on your neck. Maybe your lady friend. In today's society, maybe your boyfriend. Is kissing up on your neck. And they bite down on that thing like they're a vampire, Dracula or us. And you can't go into work like that. Either they a super freak anyway. H-Town Creole says, when will Perk be available for practice? I would assume he misses some of the spring maybe, or they limit his pitch count in reference, you know the saying, H-Town. He tore in what, September, late September. Let's say October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. I think he'd be, what do I know? Maybe he comes back in 6 months. I don't know. October, November, December, January, February, March. 6 months. I don't know, man. I mean, here's the thing that I would throw out with Perk H-Town. You kind of got John Emery back, and he was having knee complications in practice. We were always reporting that he got banged up, and then he went out there and tore it in a game. Don't rush him back. I would not rush him back. I don't think Perk's problem is going to be physical. I think all of Perk's problems are going to be mental and how he's going to overcome adversity. That's what I believe. All right. Really quickly here. I got 5. We probably won't get all to them here. We kind of ran long. There are some things that I do want to see from LSU versus Baylor in this bowl game. Look, it's an exhibition. You and I both know that. But there are just things that more than like I want to see than actual keys to victory. The number one is very simple. Can you establish the running game? Can you run the football? Now, you should be able to run the football regardless if Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Garrett Dellinger is not there. You should be able to find ways to run the football. Here's why. Baylor's 84th in the country in run defense. Excuse me. Yes, 84th in the country in run defense. They haven't been able to stop a bloody nose with a tampon all year long in the running game. And I hope that in the Big 12, your second unit can be just as competitive than a Big 12 team. You got to be able to establish the running game. If Joe Sloan is going to be your full-time play caller, which that's a whole different conversation for another day. We talked about Tommy Reese on Monday. But God's honor, God's scout honor, I think Brian Kelly, and even in a bowl game, may still be hands-on here. I hope that he is. I really, really, really hope that Brian Kelly's involved in play calling in the bowl game. I really do. I want to see more of what he would do in situations. You better be able to line up and run this football. It's going to tell you where you're at in a lot of key areas. Because other than Braylon Moore, a lot of these guys are going to be there. And I sure assume that Weston Davis will play. But Bo Bordelon's time is running up here, and it looks like they're going to start him or play him at right guard. Because Baylor's been so bad defending the run. So the number one thing that I'm coming up there to try to pop him in the mouth. Now, you know Dave Aranda a lot like I know Dave Aranda, in the sense of Dave will give up a lot of yards in the run in between the 20s and then lock down in the red zone. It's not what's been happening here. Baylor has physically been dominated in the running game all year. 84th. I'm lining up and running that rock. I'm not going there to make friends. I'm going out to find out if I have a good baseline to win a national title. It's Brian Kelly's words, not mine. Go out there and run that football. Give Nuss some relief. The opposite side is just the same, if I'm being honest. And the opposite side, I mean this. The vice versa of running the football is throwing that thing around. Baylor is 87th in the country in passing yards allowed this year. Now, your two top receivers, okay, one hit the portal and is gone. Or I say two top, but you get what I mean. 2 of the 3 starting wide receivers that you had, one is going to Miami. The other is sitting out getting ready for the NFL draft. So now you have Xavion Thomas, who I do think's got to have a big bowl game, and you have Aaron Anderson. Chris Hilton, we know what the things that he can give us are. What we don't know with Chris Hilton is what does it look like outside of him running a fade route? That is interesting because they're going to have to do other things with Chris Hilton. You can't just keep running him out there and let him run fade routes all game. You got to get him established. God forbid he needs to be one of your big guys next year. Go out there and let him do other stuff and throw him the football too. You're going to get a good look at your wide receiver room because I don't know how much there with Nuss, if you can't establish the running game for whatever reason, there's only one cog that you can do. Let's throw that thing around. this is the floor from your receiver room, right? Like this will be the floor because you do have Barry and Brown coming in. You do have Nick Anderson coming in. The floor and a receiving tight end and Bauer Sharp. The floor. Trey'Dez Green. Got to show us something. Offensively, I feel right now that there are so many question marks surrounding this team outside of Garrett and Aaron Anderson, for what it's worth. Vice versa. You guys, I know that you have guys out. Blake, you sound crazy. We have got guys and teams, players that are out. So do Baylor. But both starting safeties aren't playing. Guys, if you're the unit that you're going into next season with, if they can't be capable for you, then what do you think is going to change this offseason? Guys don't make miraculous leaps from a bowl game to game one. Now, Jane Daniels did and Joe Burrow did. Not everybody does that. What you see from this offense may be your base floor here. Number 3, you have been so much better eliminating turnovers the last couple of games from Florida on. And what's interesting about what has helped Garrett the most is that Brian Kelly got involved and was in that meeting room with him. And Brian Kelly made a joke 4 or 5 weeks ago about Garrett when we played Florida and stated, I think Garrett's going to be a lot better this week. Well, the reason that he said that is that he's been meeting with Garrett not as a head coach, but as a coordinator, essentially, like what a coordinator would. Per him. It's helped alleviate some of the turnovers. Now, Florida was bad. Vandy and Oklahoma were not. You saw what you can be as a team. Arkansas, Vandy, Oklahoma. That is what you can look like. Those, quite frankly, may have been some of your best games, especially from a turnover standpoint. But you had 4 total turnovers in the last 3 games. Blake, that's a lot. You know, you're right. It's still a lot. But, guys, in the SEC going into the Florida week, you are averaging 3 turnovers per game in the SEC. So every SEC opponent that you played, you were averaging 3 turnovers per game. Pick, fumble, turnover on downs, regardless of what it is. That was catastrophic. The skid that you went on during the season, what did all of them have in common? They all had 3 turnovers apiece. That's what they had in common. So we'll see, but it's definitely what I want to see. Let's move to defense. The only real thing that I want to see from the defense is this, number 4. The only real thing that I want to see defensively is I got to see Don McKinley. I got to see Devon Keys. And, guys, I need to see Javian Toviano. I think that Javian Toviano may be, more than any player on this team, this might be the biggest game of his career going into New Year's Eve. It could mean a lot of things for you in this sense. If he can go into safety and he can play well, or I just say play average or a little bit above average, I feel so much better about you as a team. Guys, you have had the worst safety play that I've ever seen an LSU team have. It's been atrocious. Absolutely, utterly atrocious. I guess people tell me this all the time when I have conversations with people I trust. I tell them every time, I just don't know how safety play can get worse. And boy, they're probably right that Blake, they can get worse than Major Burns and Sage Ryan. Maybe you're right. But I don't know if it can. Not here. No way. Javian Toviano, it is the biggest game of your career, young man. And I don't know if you played in state championship games or not. That doesn't mean shit for your career. It's the biggest game that he's ever played. Because if he can lock some things down at strong safety or free, wherever they're going to put him, well, then you might be a safety away from having the defense that you're going to put on the field in 2025. Everything else for me defensively feels like blah. Because I could see a world where you have DJ Pickett / Ashton Stamps. You have Perkins star. The D-line, you have Pyburn or Butler. You have Jacobian Guillory, Sadir Mitchell. You have Don McKinley. You have Patrick Payton. Weeks, Keys. At the far boundary corner, being Mansour Delane. Now, you do need a slot corner. You do need who's going to win that battle? I don't know. Is it P.J. Woodland? I don't know. But I'm getting a really good idea of what you look like. If you bring in a portal safety, the likelihood is that they're going to start here. At least early, they probably will. And then at free, do you put in Jordan Gilbert? What do you do there? Is Toviano, what are you doing at safety? I have a pretty good vision of where I think that you're going to be. Here's the truth. With the talent that I think that you're going to put on the field, I think talent, you can be a top 40 defense. It's what I believe. Now, you and I discussed this year, okay, that going into the season, the discussion that you and I had is that I thought that LSU would be mid-50s in total defense. They go from 108 to about 50, 55. They ended at 53. And Carter and I did an entire segment upon it. You can find it on YouTube, as it's the 7th year anniversary of our YouTube channel. Allegedly. No bigger position than safety in reference to knowing what we need. But I have a pretty good idea. I have more questions about you offensively at the current moment. So we'll see. Number 5, have fun. Just go have fun. I don't know what else to tell you. Go have fun. All right. H-Town says P.J. Woodland, the best cover corner on the team. He may be. But I have a pretty damn good idea of what you're going to look like or what you're going to do. Let me say look like. At least I have a good idea of what you're going to do. Right? He might have to play the slot. Right? Like, I mean, he might have to play slot. He might be your slot guy that when Perk comes out, he comes in. I don't know. I do know this. I know that you have a situation where you can be very dangerous with Perkins coming back and being involved at getting after the passer along with Patrick Payton. That shit can be lethal now. So, hypothetically, if Harold Perkins does come back and he plays star and Blake Baker sends him on blitzes like he did Major Burns a lot last year, and then Patrick Payton being on the opposite side of that and being on the opposite side of that equation, that is dangerous. That's when you start making a defense, an equality defense up front where, man, you brought in a kid in Butler who is really good from Nebraska at rushing the passer in the interior. You're going to make teams probably make quick decisions, and if they make the wrong decisions, you'll more than likely make them pay, and if they make no decision at all, you're going to get there pretty quickly. So Harold Perkins if he does come back, him and Patrick Payton with the speed at the edge that you can get from rushing the passer, Don McKinley, Jacoby, and Guillory, can they push the pocket enough to where a quarterback has to go move in and then bad things start happening? So when I look at this LSU defense potentially going into next year, I see a scenario where the dangerous level and havoc that they could produce is very interesting. Let's see what happens. But I think that LSU going into next year, talent alone, and knowing what we know from Blake Baker, that they could be a top 40 defense. Nola P says, and just have a true nickel like Woodland, maybe. Probably so. Probably so. All right. Hope you all had a great and Merry Christmas. We'll see y'all again soon. Don't know when, but we'll see you again soon. Y'all have a good night, man. Peace.